Yo, what it do? Hey, we know you should saw that fresh new intro. Wasn't that shit sick? Well, we couldn't agree more, guys.
Right, we just collaborated with our boy Omar at Sun City Vibes to help create an intro that would take our podcast to the next level. Do you need help with your video editing and content creation to help elevate your business to the next level? Well, Sun City Vibes has you covered without a doubt.
Yeah, that's right, guys. Whether it's a logo reveal, a music video, drone footage, or even t-shirt printing, guys, hit up Sun City Vibes for quality work and affordable price. Shit, Omar even made us a sick-ass hat. Look at this.
It's a fresh-ass hat.
Fresh.
Shit's fresh.
Fresh.
So yeah, guys, go help support those that support us and hit up our boy Omar and tell him Chris and Misa sent you from the podcast and help support a local El Paso business today. Let's go.
3, 2, 1. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Conversing with Chris and Misa, the podcast. As always, guys, co-host of the podcast, Mr. Misael, is with us today. Say what's up to the podcast.
Yo, what it do?
In the producer chair, our boy Joe is back. Say what's up to the podcast, Joe.
What's up, y'all?
Hey, Joe looks like he's had a few drinks, dude, before he got here.
It's only 4 o'clock and
Damn
he's
it,
already
Joe.
had some drinks.
I had the day off, so I was a little bit of day drinking, you know what
It's
I'm
okay.
saying?
It's excuse. You don't have to say less, Joe. Everything's all right.
Yeah.
Guys, for episode 170, Conversing with Chris and Misa, the podcast, we have a very, very special guest. He is the host of the Buzz Adams morning show that you can find on KLAQ. He's been doing radio in El Paso for over 25 years. Mr. Buzz Adams is in the building. Say what's up to the podcast,
Hey,
Buzz.
everybody.
Hey, finally, guys.
Round of applause.
I was on time and everything.
Looking
Like I was
fresh.
walking through the door at the top of the hour, so thank you for that.
You
Hey,
see
thank you for accepting our invite to be here. We've had pretty much your whole show on the podcast before, a little at a time. A bunch of people from the
Everyone, we've had the whole squad.
right, a bunch of people from KLAQ. We've had them in here, and we were really excited to have you on. I know this is one of Misa's best guests that he's been wanting to have for a long time.
yeah.
So, shout out to you again, Mr. Buzz. Give him one more round of applause, Misa.
Oh, thank you. And thank you to that beautiful audience.
Yes.
They look great.
Got a live audience member here. His name is Chewy from Next Gen Sports. He makes all our merch.
Hey,
so shout
what's
out
up,
to Chewy
Chewy?
as well. All right, guys. Mr. Buzz, for the people who may not know who you are, can you just give yourself a brief introduction to the podcast?
Buzz Adams. I've been doing the morning show on KLAQ since 1992. So that's 31.
92?
Since 92. So that's 31 years this year.
Dude, that's a long time.
Yeah, right.
Dude. That's a very it's a longevity of radio here in El Paso, and it's really cool to have you on because when you think of radio or podcasting in the city of El Paso, the biggest show out there is the Buzz Adams Morning Show on KLAQ 95.5. So let's get into your story here a little bit, Buzz. But before we do that, guys, we have a tradition. It's called the cracking of the celebratory beer.
I couldn't wait, dude.
He couldn't wait.
I
He's
couldn't
too
wait.
excited. I'm cracking a Rockstar, but it sounds like this. There you go. Shout out to everyone for being here today. Misa caught some backlash right there. But cheers to y'all. I'm going to indulge.
Cheers, guys.
Okay, Mr. Buzz. So for the people who may not know, you're actually from Oklahoma, right?
Yep. I grew up in Oklahoma and got the job here in El Paso when I was 24 years old.
Okay. What was it about radio that lured you into that career path?
They used to let me do, they had different students do the morning announcements on the PA when I was in high school. And so they let me start doing them, and so when it was my turn, I decided one day I'm just going to start doing impressions and stuff. So I started doing there was an old time radio guy named Paul Harvey. It might have been before your time, but I would do the announcements like I was this radio announcer, and then nobody knew it was me. I thought, okay, well, it's just going to sound like me. But then I'd hear everybody talking about it, and they honestly didn't know it was me. And I thought, well, this is pretty cool. This is like being a superhero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could do this voice thing, and then I could sit back and hear people talk about it. So I did that for a while, and then I got hired by
The Cat.
Before that, it was my hometown radio station. So I just got hired to run the mixing board for baseball games and stuff like that.
At one point where you're doing like weather, did you ever have to do like weather? And
Oh,
stuff like
I
that?
still have to do fucking weather.
Weather and traffic on the 8s.
What's the weather today, Buzz?
It's got to be a little windy. I think the wind's going to be 15 to 20 with possible wind advisory in effect, and 73 for the high temperature, mostly sunshine.
Damn, let's go.
Oh, accurate.
That sounds like every day in El Paso almost. That's like a perfect weather call. But so what was like a young Buzz Adams like when you were before you got into radio? Like I know like we were talking some sports right now.
Was Buzz raised on a farm?
Yeah, we had a farm. Yeah, we had a farm with some cows and some pecan trees and some chickens. You know, so
Did they have you go out there in the mornings to get breakfast? Go get some
well,
eggs.
no, I mean, yes, I definitely went out and got eggs, but it wasn't like it was my regular job. Or anything. But yeah,
I was gonna say you've come a long way, man.
Yeah, that is crazy, man. And so like, were you like into like sports or anything growing up?
Yeah, I played a lot of sports, and I was, you know, I didn't hit my growth early. So like 8th grade football, some of these guys had mustaches, and hairy chest and stuff, and weighed like 160 pounds, which was a load back in those days. And I'm still like 90 pounds, and I just get flattened, but I just kept trying, thinking I must be tackling wrong. What I didn't realize was these were young men already, and I was still a boy.
Yeah,
That's funny because I mean, if you look at like old pictures of like football players, dude, like even high school, you see like dude, that's a grown ass guy playing sports. It's kind of like that 12-year-old. Remember that went viral?
Yeah.
He had like a mustache.
Yeah, that guy was not 12, dude.
Yeah,
he
dude,
he definitely forged
that
his
dude had some bills, dude. For
Yeah,
sure.
he forged his birth certificate. But yeah, that's crazy. And like, but you're like a tall guy now. I mean, so like, I guess you came into your size a little bit
maybe
later, right?
like 10th grade, between 9th and 10th grade, I kind of grew into it.
And so like, it's funny that you say like you started doing the announcements and doing them in like impersonations of different people. Like, what gave you that idea? Like, you just were like, hey, let's just try it. I just want to like fuck around and see what happens.
I think at that point I'd listen to the radio and I'd hear different people on the radio, and I'd say, well, I can sound like that. I think I was watching some Saturday Night Live. Yeah. So this was like mid 80s, and I would do the impersonations of the characters, or even they would do impersonations, and I do the impersonations of their impersonations.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's like your favorite person or like your best impersonation that you have in your bag?
Donald Trump, dude.
I do it now. Now everybody gives me shit about my Donald Trump. Probably Sean Connery, if I can really find the tone for Sean Connery.
You know how many chicks you could pick up with that voice?
Money penny. Or this is where he shows up and he's got a shotgun. I'm going to use a racial slur here, okay, but it's in the movie. Just like a wop brings a knife to a gunfight.
Damn.
Wow.
That's funny, dude. Yeah, that's crazy. So I guess like, is it safe to say you've always had like a kind of like a niche for like wanting to like entertain people in a way?
Yeah, and I think the whole anonymity part of it, that you're doing it, and as I'm looking over there, of course, I see all of our faces on the screen, so I guess it's not so anonymous anymore, but that was a big pull for me.
Traditional radio, yeah. There is no cameras. It's just you and a microphone, you know what I mean? And so what do you remember about like your first days working at like a news station? Obviously, you said you were doing some like little odds and end jobs.
Like board op, I had to sweep like all of the sales offices. That was part of my gig. I ran the vacuum, and I think maybe one. Okay, so this station was already automated, meaning we got the music and the DJs from a satellite.
Right.
So I only got to do. It's funny you brought up the weather. One of the things I got to do was the weather, like one time per hour, and I'd give the local weather, and I'd read it verbatim out of the newspaper.
What if it said it was raining, but it wasn't? You'd be like, you still have to go through it, even though you know damn well it wasn't going to rain?
At first I thought, okay, well, I'm on the actual radio, and I'm like 16 years old. But then after a while, I then realized, but nobody's really listening, so I can do pretty much anything I want to. So
like it's gonna be sun all day, and it's all snowing in El Paso.
Did you ever try any voices while you were giving the weather on the radio?
I think every now and then I do something like that, and like I say, really honestly, probably nobody was listening.
And so, who gives you like your first real chance, like at actually like being on the air with some considerate amount of time, not just doing like these little recaps of the
same
weather
station.
and stuff?
So eventually, I got hired there. I think after a while they put me on and actually let me play records and stuff.
And so you
It
started
was a
off
country station,
like a DJ.
It was a country station?
Yeah, and records, not CDs.
Right, like you're actually placing records in there.
45s and LPs.
So crazy, dude. We
So
have
having to go through all of them?
bro. We have it so.
Oh my
easy
god!
now.
Yeah, it had a list there to tell you what to play. So you had to go flip through, and they're supposed to be alphabetized, but of course they aren't. Of
course they're not.
because everybody's making minimum wage, so it's not alphabetized at all. And you had to find the thing, and you had to get it on before the previous song ended.
Jesus. Can you imagine the pressure?
Well, yeah, he's looking for the Beatles and he's looking in the B's, but then the person before him put it in with the T's, so that he's like, you know what I mean?
Except it was a country station, so I was looking for the Don Williams after I played the Judds.
He's like, John Denver's good enough. Let's go.
And were you into country? Like, what were you in the radio?
At that point in my life, I really wasn't, because I'd kind of grown up around it. My mom and dad, everybody I knew listened to like old timey
you came
country.
on a farm, yeah.
Old timey country. So I was a little burned on it, but I have come to appreciate, especially like the Austin, Texas country music scene is, in my opinion, vastly superior to what you hear on top 40 country radio.
Man, Chris is a big country guy. What do you
Yeah,
think
I like well, obviously, like growing up, like my parents listened to like George Strait, Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, but like some of the new country now, like Morgan Wallen, Cole Swindell, different people, Brad Paisley, like that. Do you still keep up with country now, or you kind of just let that ship sail?
No, more on the, like, I think Chris Stapleton is the greatest country music talent in 40 years.
He's coming, right? He's coming to town?
Oh, yeah, and I'm going to go see him because he
yeah.
is so amazing. And I only had to hear like one note of Tennessee whiskey to say
the first like guitar
That's
lick
fire.
of Tennessee
it's like
whiskey.
that guy's
when he was
great.
that whole album with the Steel Driver is just freaking awesome, man.
So Buzz, like, what is it like when you first so eventually you get to the Cat, right?
Yeah,
Which is a rock
eventually.
station, right?
There are a few other stations in between there. So, yeah, eventually I get to the Cat, which was the Heritage AOR, which is album-oriented rock.
Right.
But when I got there, it was like 87 or 88, and it was all about hair metal.
Yeah.
Poison. I mean, people knew who Guns N' Roses were, but it was Poison and Bang Tango and these
Sticks and the Scorpions.
Warrant, Sticks and Scorpions, sure. Yeah. That was almost a little classic rock even by then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy though, because like, yeah, I mean, at that time, like that type of music was like super prevalent. Like everybody liked like the hair metal bands. And were you like one of the people that would be like trying to push new music onto the station, or was it really just like, no, this is what we're playing, we stick to it?
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot to say in that one. That really wasn't. I think every now and then the program director or the station manager, or both of them at the same time, would ask me to get believe it or not, a young person's perspective. So they'd play something for me, and what do you think about this?
And then you
And
either
I'd
pass
say,
or fail.
yeah, right. So I tell them what I thought about it.
And you were doing all this while going to college, right? Like you're on the radio. While attending
Most of the
college?
time that I was doing both at the same time. Yeah.
And I saw somewhere that you were going to school to be like a writer, right? Like an author.
Well, I went and you have to declare something eventually. So I declared, media, broadcasting or whatever. But I realized that was not really anything you need to study for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to do that for 4 years. And then I kind of floated around, and eventually it got down to the point where it's like, all right, dude, you got to pick a major or you're not going to get to graduate. And I kind of did a little math on what I had a lot of classes in, and there were a few options I could have gone. I decided on English literature.
I hate English and I speak it.
Yeah, dude. English literature's tough, dude. I like fuck that. And so like you decided to go like with that degree, but like in the back of your mind, you were kind of like, I'm probably not going to use this.
Yeah, I knew already, and it was like I was in.
Just give me the degree.
Just at one point I was like that. I was just like, give me the degree. I've given you enough money at this point. My parents have given you enough money at this point. Give me the degree, because I felt like I was already underway on the radio. You know.
You already knew where you were going.
Yeah,
You
like
just
I was
kinda
pretty.
had to get out of
I was
there.
pretty much 20, 21, 22 years old.
You made up your mind
Yeah,
already. Yeah.
okay. What I was.
And
Damn, that's young, dude. 20,
Yeah, dude, that
21?
is crazy. And did you at the time, Buzz, or like, were you like an only child, or did you have siblings?
I have a younger brother. I was adopted, and he wasn't. So I was the adopted kid. And then I guess once the pressure was off, like my mom and dad had, like they were worried because they were like 30, which was elderly.
Yeah.
Back at, we're 30 and we don't have kids. So they panicked and adopted. And then it's like, oh, no pressure. And they had my brother.
We're all 30.
That is
31.
yeah, dude, that is crazy. So like, I didn't know. Did you know he was adopted?
I did not know that.
I had heard it, but I thought it was just kind of playing around and stuff. Because you talk a lot about your mom and stuff. You mention her, but that's crazy.
And when did they tell you that you were adopted? Like at what age?
It must have been pretty young, because I feel like I always kind of knew. I think my mom told me, hey, it
was never
wasn't
hidden
really
from
the
you.
birds and the bees talk, but it was basically like, you didn't come out of my body, you came out of another lady's body, and I didn't know. I was like, what are you
the fuck?
fucking talking
He's like, what
about?
does that mean?
They could have told you came out of a cow. You would have fucking believed it.
He's like, no baby mama?
Yeah, I think it was 4 or 5.
I was bought?
Dude, that is crazy. Damn. And then it's funny, or how ironic it is that they end up having a kid. Like you said, maybe all the pressure, they felt was gone, and then boom, out
Yeah,
pops
so
your
my
little brother.
brother's only 2 years younger than him.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
that's crazy. And
Did you ever try and look up like your family, where you came from and stuff like that? Or
Do you want to hear the
We do.
real scoop
Go
on
ahead.
this?
yeah.
It gets a little sad.
Oh.
Not like bring down everybody's sad.
Okay.
Just kind of like for me.
Hey, we'll hear.
So yeah, I knew
Somebody get him a beer or something?
I knew the orphanage that I'd lived in, and I knew, well, obviously my birthday. So I found out once the internet came along, I found out there was a thing for adoptees and people who gave their kids up for adoption, and you just kind of register.
Right.
And I registered, forgot about it for like 2 or 3 years. And then all of a sudden, ping, I had a notification, go to this website, somebody's trying to get in touch with you. And I go over there, and it's this lady who's like, hi, I think I'm your mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was already like 46
Right.
at this point. So at first, it's really weird, because when you think you might be getting catfished by your mom.
hey, no, I've never heard that. Catfish by your own mom.
Well, because, I didn't know. Maybe
I want to be his mom.
Well, yeah, but think about it. Like, I mean,
that's crazy.
You can never be just like trust the first person that tells you like, "Hey, I might be your mom."
But he was longing for that motherly love. So he's probably
right.
like, yo, what's up?
I was like, I'm in a position where there could be a lot of wishful thinking on my part. So I better rush in and have my eyes open though.
Right. Okay,
so
that
anyway,
happens, and then
she, I had already, my friends a couple of years before that had got me 23andMe. And so I knew what it was. And she signed up for 23andMe, and the next thing I know, they'll let you know, have you ever done this thing? It's like
They tell you like
site.
how many people related.
And it'll tell you if there's a new relation. And it's always like, this person's your 4th cousin, or this person could be your 5th cousin. I get one, bing, this one is your mother. And it was like absolutely 100% certain that this lady was my mother.
Dude, that is.
And did did you keep in contact with her or anything like that?
Yeah, I told her a little bit about me, and she told me a little bit about her, and we might have swapped some pictures of our kids. But the part that gets sad is, hey, I never told anybody about this. Like, she's like, I was 16 and my parent, so I gave you up for adoption, but I never told the guy. I guess she married her very next boyfriend and never told him. And she had 2 other kids.
Holy shit!
And she never told anybody. So like the idea of, I could come down there and meet my younger brother.
Nah, you're the cooler one though.
Do all that. And none of that, because It's a big secret, guys.
Yeah, she swept that shit under the rug, like literally.
How would you feel, Misa?
I wouldn't even know how to feel. I don't know if to feel like kind of like sad or even upset at the fact that like that was kind of hidden, right? Like you kind of want to grow up knowing like where you come from and stuff, you know?
I feel kind of hurt, but then I'd be like, look where I'm at. So
Damn,
That's
that's crazy.
I'm okay.
why are you crying? Why are you crying?
And was she like she lived close by or?
No. So I guess they had lived in Alabama or Mississippi, and this was the 60s. So back in those days, if you were from a good Christian family,
Right.
they sent you off someplace. And I guess one of the places they sent them off was New Orleans, because that's where I was born, in the Baptist, and I lived in the Baptist Children's Orphanage of New Orleans, Louisiana.
How old were you when you got adopted?
Young,
crazy.
very
Yeah.
young, yeah. Dude, almost like if I have any memories, I don't even know if they're real or not.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have like how was your feeling after finding out? Were you disappointed on all that? Or?
On which aspect?
The mom, like her mom.
No. I understood. I got it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
How are you going to lead with that?
Yeah.
You know, if you're still in the 60s and you're 18 years old and you meet this guy and it's like, I might have a future with this guy. You don't, how do I expect her to tell, I got pregnant like a couple years ago and gave the baby up for adoption. So,
Yeah, and I'm sure that like back then, like I'm sure having a kid like at that young age out of wedlock, like it was really like a lot of like it's really shunned, you know what I mean? So I could see the pressure being on her, kind of like,
especially if you're from a devoutly religious.
Right. Yeah, so I can definitely see the pressure but it's crazy, like for her to keep it a secret like that for so long, that is fucking.
I mean, he turned out well. Raised on a farm.
Raised on a farm, couple chickens.
Raised on, I didn't get beat much.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
In New Orleans, by the way,
dude.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy, dude, is that like you never know like how your life could have played out. You know what I mean? And then it just happens that you find a family that adopts you, and
Destiny. You know
everything fucking
Destiny.
I don't lose any sleep over it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, that is
Okay,
crazy.
give him a round of applause for that one. That's legit.
For being adopted. Fuck, dude.
No,
That's
for
crazy.
not
It's
losing
like her
sleep
mom
over
just
that.
picked them all out. It's like, I'll pick this kid, right?
That's funny, dude. So so that's a great story. I did not expect to get into that, but that's pretty crazy. So when did you start when was like your first ever, I guess, actual morning show? Was that in Oklahoma, or did that wait until you got to El Paso?
Yeah, no, I had that first high school station. I worked in the morning, and that didn't mean a whole lot. We were doing a morning show per se, but you had to do everything by scratch. So whatever you did do, you had to. There was no internet.
Damn.
We anything we had to do, we had to cook it up on our own. So. That was a good experience, but the first morning show was probably at the CAD.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was was that morning show similar to what it is you do now, or was it just so long ago that like?
Well, it was another guy's show, and I was basically the Nico.
Okay.
You know what I mean, or the
Right.
Fernie. I was kind of the whipping boy.
Yeah.
That was my first.
Shout out to Fernie, by the way.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, shout out to Nico, Fernie. Shout out to Joanna for sure. Shout out to everyone from the fucking KLAQ morning show team, past and future, or past and present, I should say. But yeah, so like, with that experience was where you got like the idea of like how a proper morning show like is done.
Look, the guy I worked with his name is Joe Scar. And that's his real name. He didn't change it to sound like a pirate. His name is Joe Scar. And he had his own thing. He had, he was a good example, and he was a hard worker and put in the stuff. But really, I listened to a lot of air checks of these, some of these DJs out of Chicago and LA, and I'd hear what they were kind of doing. It was very different than anything they were doing in Oklahoma City at the time. So.
Right. And what would you guys talk about like in Oklahoma City? Was it like, did you guys focus like on the sports teams, or like what were you guys like?
Tornadoes?
Like, yeah, where was your content coming from? Tornado Alley and shit.
The Sooners were a big deal. The OSU was a big deal.
Right.
But just kind of like rock, it was a rock station, and So
You know how much
we
more
leaned pretty
creative
heavy
you
into
have
that.
to be?
Yeah,
back then,
dude. That's what's crazy. Is like you can't just go and look up like trending topics or whatever. Like you had to like
Read the newspaper for
right,
stats.
newspaper, and then like I'm sure there's other publications that were flowing around, magazines, things like that. But like it's literally like you have to figure out, okay, like what are we going to talk about, and how do I know people are actually going to be interested in this?
There was no, and I'm looking around at some of the posters, so I think you'll know what I'm talking about. There was no nerd culture at the time.
Right.
It was not cool to say, guys, let's talk about Star Wars.
Let's break down Harry Potter in here. Like, yeah.
I'd have got kicked right out of there if I'd done that. Yeah.
Hey,
They're like, yo, what a loser.
Buzz is like, hey, Chris doesn't even like Star. He's not even seen Star Wars.
I've seen the first 3 Star Wars. I think that's all you need to see after that.
I disagree. That's a hard disagree.
So I read when you were like in the process of when you, I guess at one point you start to say to yourself like, all right, I need to get out of Oklahoma, right? And you start looking at different markets.
Well, they fired me. That was the
they
main,
fired you? Okay.
Yeah.
I was reading that you were sending out applications all over the country
Every day.
and you got somebody calling you from Alaska to get interviewed or something like that.
There were so many. You know, I definitely recall Hawaii. Like somebody was like, and they were telling me, you know, it's a whole different culture over here. And they're like, yeah, white boy like you from Oklahoma. And then he said what the slur for people from the mainland was. It's like, that's all they're going to know you as. And I was like, all right, well, maybe Hawaii's not as nice as Magnum PI makes it look.
That's crazy.
Howley, by the way. If you're a mainlander who's white, you're a howley.
That's what they call him, a howley.
Yeah, that's what I was told by this program director in Hawaii.
Be the most famous howley ever.
Mobile, Alabama was one. There could have been an Alaska in there somewhere.
Yeah, dude, that's wild. And what like so? Okay, hold on. Before we go to how you got to EP, what was it like? Why did you like they fired you? Was it for like?
He wants to know why you got fired, Buzz. What happened?
You know, the show wasn't a successful show, and I wasn't. I'm not willing to take the blame for it because I wasn't really running the ship. But they decided, well, low man on the totem pole,
Right.
You know, you're going to go.
You're the guy.
Maybe I tried to talk too much about comic books and Star Wars, and they didn't like it.
They're like, get this guy out of here.
Yeah,
bro.
he
He's
was
got
that
no
one
future
guy that
here.
they're like, kick him out.
That's crazy. So when El Paso, like when it comes to coming to El Paso, they offered you a job here, and then you decided to relocate, or how did that happen?
I was looking for a job, and they had a solid offer out there on the table, so I took it and I drove down, and it took 14 hours.
And by this point, you had been on the radio how long?
8 years already,
Damn,
but I
okay.
started at a really, really young age.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty young,
So-
but it was at what 92, right? When you came down.
92.
What was your first thought, like driving over here? Like,
Well, I can tell you on the drive, I'm going, less and less trees, and all of a sudden, so I'm driving somewhere around Corona, New Mexico, up to Santa Rosa, and I decide I'm going to listen to the radio because they didn't have. You couldn't listen to your phone or anything. You just stuck with the radio or tapes or whatever. So I decided, and I put it on scan. I was like, all right, I'll find something. Well, I did it and forgot about it. And then like an hour and a half later, I'm like, hey, I think I'll listen to the radio. And I look down and it's
still
scanning through the thing
Still
because that's how remote it was. There were no radio stations.
It's gonna
that
be
would pick up
listening
on
to
the
me
scan.
out here.
That's crazy, dude. And then so you come to El Paso. What were your first like thoughts about the city in itself? And then how did you feel like once you were able to finally settle down and start with your new position?
You know, I think, let me just tell you, El Paso grew on me really fast. But at first, it was just like this. It's almost like an alien landscape, man. When you come
Welcome
from
to
where
Mars,
where there are hills and lakes and rolling and all this stuff, it was like, what? It's like being on Mars. I thought I was on a different planet. And then, you know, people spoke this different language that I was not used to ever hearing. That made it even seem more alien. So it was not like immediately
Right.
I connected, but I did connect, and in a very strong way, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Juarez is right there, right? You could see it on the freeway. What was your thought on that?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's hard for people who don't live here to believe.
Right.
You know, because maybe they know about San Diego and TJ, but I'm telling them, no, man. There's this new highway. If you fly up on this thing, you're over Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, that flange that goes off of I-10.
Yeah. The loop, the border, 365. Once you pass Paisano,
I'm telling you, you're in Mexican airspace.
Mexico.
Up
Yeah,
there.
Your cell phone will tell you,
yeah,
too.
and it's crazy because I've always thought like, well, if you were to like roll over the freeway and fall on the other side, you're stuck in Mexico for a little bit, like as bad as it would sound. But yeah, that's
We ought to
crazy.
market. We ought to tell people you go to Mexico without actually going into Mexico. All
Right.
you have to do is drive the new.
They don't check your passport on this one. You're good. Yeah, that's crazy. And what's interesting is that like once you got to El Paso, like I feel like, I mean, I was born in '91, but I remember ever since, you know, I can remember riding around with my dad that he was listening to the Q, and you know your voice is very prominent. So how long was it before you felt like the morning show got like established here, and with yourself being like kind of the main guy?
Well, the station was very established. I mean, it was already like this heritage rock institution. So that was kind of my foot in the door, regardless of what I did. So first of all, I want to give credit to KLAQ. They were, a really, really well-known and nationally well-thought of rock station.
Yeah, and to give an adopted kid from Oklahoma a chance, hell yeah, dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude, that is crazy. And who was the station director at that time?
It was 92. Hey, Joe, can you look up what the population of El Paso was back in 92 compared to now?
1992.
Yeah,
It's probably, I'd guess, I like to do this sometimes. I would guess, it's probably close to 500,000 already.
Yeah, that's,
500,000.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, look, hit it right on the head. 533,000.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. 1992. And then,
But look, it punches way above its weight. Everybody here knows there's more than
Right.
whatever
Of
they
course.
list now, 640,000. You know that is a much larger population.
Yeah, especially what's going down in downtown and shit
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
and I feel like there's a million people in this area, just between Las Cruces all the way up to like as far as maybe Fort Stockton.
Well,
There's
you throw in
definitely a
Juarez, and
million
there's
people.
closer to 3 million.
Oh yeah.
You know?
That's like just on the U.S. side, but you add Juarez, then yeah, I mean we're we're one of the biggest what is it, like
Metropolitan
a metroplex?
areas, yeah.
It's pretty much doubled since 92, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What is it now? Holy 985,000! I've never
it's more
seen
than
that
that. It's
figure
more than
before.
that.
It's more than that. We're over
The
a million
metro
for
area,
sure.
so they're probably counting. I wonder if
Horizon's counting.
I wonder if they count Las Cruces in that, because
No, they
Las
don't.
Cruces is
No, this is
100,000.
us. And mind you, this is all east side. Because after a while, we became the biggest army base in the world was Fort Bliss now. It used to be Fort Hood.
Well, they shut down a lot of army bases, but they didn't shut us down.
So Fort Bliss took over, and that's the population.
Yeah.
Cruises, it's at 150.
look at that. Las Cruces is 115,000.
Dude, that's fucking crazy, dude. That is wild. Yeah. So, when you first got to El Paso, how long was it before you started tasting the Mexican food? Like, were you like kind of hesitant on it, or were you like, hey man, I got
No, right away. Right away. I mean, I really hadn't had authentic Mexican food, Taco Bell and Casa Bonita and stuff like that.
You're a spicy kind of guy?
I could take on spice. I never took it as a challenge, but I don't know, man. Like in my old age, I got to go cool on that stuff.
It's like I gotta chill.
Buzz doesn't like to suffer when he eats, man.
But sure, yeah. If everybody was eating hot, I'd go as hot as anybody else
Pour
wanted
me
to.
some,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, who was like the first who was your cast when you first got here?
Okay, so they had hired Patty Steele. Patty had worked there for about 4 months before I did, but she was very good. Had just a great radio voice and really sharp, and so she was on the show. They put her and I together, and I had a friend that I was hanging out with who was maybe in a different Patty Steele. That's the Patty Steele who was on in New York. You got to look. That's a different Patty Steele.
Put El Paso behind that.
Yeah, put El Paso.
Yeah, there you go.
It only came up with pictures of the other Patty Steele.
KLAQ in the
Yeah,
cut.
put KLAQ. That's a nice dog, by the way.
That's like your dog.
So it was Patty and this friend of mine, Johnny Gonzalez, who's still around, and I see him. He was on the show. I guess right before Christmas, he came in to hang out. And And then we added Steve Kaplowitz shortly after that. No, none of those. That's the more famous Patty Steele.
Kaplowitz was in the cut. Kaplowitz in there.
Not at first. So he came to us maybe over the summer of '92, and he had just graduated UT and was looking for a job, and came in and interviewed with us. And I think they made him, he worked as an unpaid intern for some number of months. It might have been a year.
Shout out to Steve, man. He was here like 100 episodes ago.
Yeah, Steve was here. He's got a good story too. But like the thing about Steve is like he's like he kind of reminds me of just like an encyclopedia for like sports. Like he's so good with like just players' names and stats and statistics.
Well, however good he is today, he was 10 times better 20 years ago. I mean,
I can only imagine. You know, fresh out of college, like you know what I mean.
No, he was the encyclopedia for sports.
Yeah, he was just trying to show like, hey, I belong, like you know, in this medium, and I want to do sports talk, and like it's really cool to see how far he's come.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask, when you first started, did you have that like that freedom to kind of like create your own type of show, like how it would flow?
I think so. I think they gave me pretty free hand. Maybe not on day one, but eventually, you know, as I kind of proved myself,
right.
I think they kind of loosened it up and said they were more likely to say, "Yeah, go out on a limb, do what you want to do."
I love it because it's all comedic, and I think at one point you guys started doing this thing where you guys would get like telemarketers to call. Right.
Oh, there was, you know what that was? There was a comedian that we knew named Tom Mabe was his name. And I got to,
oh, Jesus Christ.
Hey, yo.
So Tom Mabe used to do these things. You telemarketers would call you whether you wanted to, especially if you didn't want them to. And his deal was, just press record and fuck with these people as long as I possibly can and waste as much of their time.
So they'd be chanted that he was like an old lady and stuff like that.
Oh, you know what? I think I was pretty inspired by Tom, and if a couple other guys were doing prank calls at that time, I might have done an old lady character a couple of times.
I was also reading that you guys started getting into like these April Fool's jokes and pranks to I don't know if it was a coach leaving UTEP one year. And you guys decided to go out and tell everybody that the whole team was also leaving.
And so many people believed
I think
it
that's
because
Billy Gillespie
left to take the was it the A&M job? That's where he went before he went to Kentucky.
He went to A&M and then Kentucky after that.
And we did a story. This was before there was a transport portal or anything. We said the players all decided to quit for the team, so they're having tryouts. And all you got to do is show up at Memorial Gym with gym shorts and some high tops, and they'll let you try out for the minors.
And Joe was right there, dude, with his fucking Jordans on and everything.
I don't even know Jordans, right? But it's funny, though. Still friends at the end of the ball.
What is
the diplomas is still going to burn through. It's him and Steve Kaplowitz.
You ended up burning his diploma?
Well, the Sooners beat UT that year.
He's like, so we had to do something.
Like,
that's crazy.
I'm giving the horns down. Look at that.
That's terrible.
Horns down.
Just rub it in his face, dude. Yeah, that's good though.
Oh my God.
Oh Jesus.
That?
Okay,
wow,
we know
the KLAQ.
Yeah, we know what kind of ads.
We got college girls get freaky ads on KLAQ. Let me tell you,
when was the last time you were on that?
I'm not seeing any of that money.
Look at that. He remembers that one.
Hey, you got to talk to your guy in sales, man. Because obviously
kidding.
somebody's buying
College girls get freaky.
How old is that? How old are those pictures? Go to the front, to the top. I'm 17.
So,
well,
you know, I think Baker was the quarterback. Yeah. So this had to be like 17, 18, something like that.
Yeah, that's about right.
Try to replace me, but bitch, I'm one of a kind. You know, I be racing up on the highway 95. Look, I don't give a fuck why these niggas hating on me. Oh, wait, because I got your bitch tripping on me. She said my love promethazine got her leaning on me. Spanish mommy with that accent, bet she call me Poppy. Okay.
Yo, what it do? It's your boy Misa from the pod. Yo, I know y'all have noticed how good me and Chris look rocking this merch, huh? Well, this is all thanks to our sponsor, Next Gen Sports. Next Gen Sports is your local destination for all things sports, from sports cards to authentic sneakers, customizable t-shirts, and even official team jerseys. So whether you're buying, selling, or trading sports merch, cards, or sneakers, Next Gen Sports is your go-to for the most fire sports gear. What's that? Oh, you're not a big sports fan? That's all gravy, baby. Next Gen Sports is still your go-to spot for all customizable shirts, just like this one. Look. Sheesh. Anyways, guys, the best part about all this, it's super affordable. There's delivery here in El Paso, shipping anywhere in the US, Canada, and Mexico. So go check out Next Gen Sports on all social media platforms, including TikTok. It's all in the description below, guys. Go support the people that rock with us. Tell them that Chris and Misa from the pod sent you. And as always, stay fresh.
Yeah, and so like, what was your like when you're thinking of like when they give you the realms to the morning show, right? And they're kind of like, hey, you know, like you got to put your own take on it or whatever. Like, who did you look to like for inspiration on like what a proper morning show should be or what it should sound like?
So I would say there was a guy in Tulsa who was on the sports, or not the sports, but the talk radio named John Erling. And I thought, you know, kind of the way he set things up and talked about things was something really cool. There was a guy out of Chicago named Jonathan Brandmeier, Johnny B out of Chicago at the Loop. And I listened to a lot of his tapes. And I had more heard of than actually heard, but Howard Stern,
right,
you know, was somebody that I had heard of, and it was like, oh, this guy will say all kinds of crap.
That's what I love about
he gets away with, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, who wouldn't be inspired by that? It's like I can go out there and say this, you know, borderline psychotic stuff on the radio.
Get Howard Stern, bro. He was a vibe, that's for sure.
That's crazy. I kind of wanted to bring up, it might be a painful memory, but what the hell happened with you on that bike, Buzz?
No, it was, you know, I deserved it. So I'd gotten a bicycle that had a fairly powerful motor, like an electric motor on it.
Or something.
Yeah, right. It gets you up to 35 miles an hour. And I had just gotten it delivered. And they had delivered it to Crazy Cat, and I went down and picked it up, and I got it home, and I was really excited. And I was going to go out. It was already getting dusk, you know, like it was already a little dark outside. And I was just going to take it out for a spin. Right then, my mom decides to call to see how I'm doing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, watch this. I got a new bike. Check this out. And I'm showing her. And I didn't realize how powerful that little toggle was. So you hit a toggle on the handlebar. Bam, the thing goes forward. That whiskey
throttle? Where it just goes in.
And it throws me over the handlebars. And all I can guess from the debris scene was that I just crashed mouth first into this column.
Did you get knocked out? Did you end up waking up?
I was briefly. I think I must have lost consciousness for a couple of seconds.
My
anyway,
God.
but the debris field I'm talking about were my teeth that I had to go and pick up the next day.
Buzz, that was like a perfect timing for you to get like a gold tooth on or something.
I didn't do that. I could have gotten grills, but I just really wanted to be able to talk without any more impediment that I already had.
Funny, he has like fucking grills, and they're sponsored by like Johnson Jeweler or something. Like, you know, have them pay for it.
Do you still have that bike?
Yeah. Now I saw that bike. It's great. It's by a company called Vintage Electric. If you were to look up Vintage Electric, they're just the most beautiful, retro-looking, almost retro-futuristic.
There's a video of you riding it. Did you end up getting video of that crash?
No, because I wasn't recording. It was just
your mom that probably saw it.
It was just on the phone. Yeah, I wasn't recording.
Dude, imagine his mom.
Imagine
like
what his
watching
mom was
him live,
thinking,
you know,
like,
in
Jesus
the back.
Christ. Her poor son just got hurled into fucking a concrete pillar, and his teeth are just scattered on the floor.
I'm not being rude. I'm just looking for the picture of my teeth, which I collected the next day.
Yeah,
if you look up like Buzz Adams' picture, and it's one of the first ones where he's just showing his mouth, and it's like missing a few teeth. It had also said that like you had broken your arm or something like that as well.
I broke my ankle in a really unusual way. Oh, look at that.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Dude,
yo,
that was after the picture you're looking at with my teeth out. That was after like healing for 4 days.
Oh,
So it looked worse than that initially. That's for sure.
much worse.
Dude, I feel like
Christ.
that's what Iggy's gonna look like in like 5 years.
He looks already like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who are you talking about?
Iggy Samaniego.
Iggy's fit, man. Iggy's like crowding 50. He's got to be.
Well, it's because
And
he's gotta fight people to get his fucking bus money, dude.
Dude, hey,
The streets have kept him
Yeah.
lean.
Buzz. I call him Pitbull's retarded brother, and he's in there.
I call him Mr. Clean's
Mr.
dirty cousin, El
Clean's.
Sucio.
Shout out to
Iggy's a super smart guy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's hilarious.
Shit, Iggy was just here yesterday, actually.
Oh,
matter
yeah?
of fact, yeah. Yeah. So Buzz, in your mind,
Look at this.
or I guess in your opinion, what makes like a morning show like memorable and that makes a morning show like retainable to people where they want to keep coming back to it because they feel like they're part of the, I guess, like your studio family. What do you think makes that?
I guess you connect with people and you talk about things that people can relate to, or in some way you entertain them.
Right.
I think there are a lot of different ways to do it. I don't think like this is the way you got to do it. I think
Everybody's got a different style.
Everybody's got a different style, and as long as you maintain that and it's interesting and people want to come back for more.
Yeah.
I think that's the secret.
Hey, real quick, not to bash on you, Buzz, but when was the
I got some shit to say.
when was the last time you got a new phone, Buzz? That's exactly the same phone that this guy that you were showing on this video that's like about 10 years old.
I don't know, man. This is like an 11, like an iPhone 11.
Is
They
it?
still make those?
I think it's just in an
think
old
it's the
looking case.
case. That's
Right.
what it is.
The case makes it
I
look
thought that was like your
antique.
notepad or something.
No. This
Bro,
is
up until like a week ago, you were rocking iPhone 8.
Yeah, relax. iPhone 8.
You had the iPhone with the button
Yeah,
still.
well,
Like,
now
what
I
the
have the
fuck?
right to call out other people.
Not me, though.
All right, I'm tired of
You
it.
take a seat down, Misa.
Jesus Christ, that's bad.
Oh, man.
so these are my teeth after I laid them out.
Oh, my God.
Bro, that is a lot of fucking.
That looks like crack, bro.
Yeah, but they're like fragments of teeth. So it's really only two teeth just broken into
pieces.
pieces, right?
So did you end up having to get like
he's got a hole- he's got a
surgery on your teeth, or did you end up getting stitches?
Yeah, when they put the teeth in, I don't know what.
Wait, so you
What-
can't take
look,
them off?
look,
They're like
He's got a
permanently.
whole bunch of dental work going on right now.
Is your show R-rated?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
TVMA.
They fill it in with human remains. So they're
What?
yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
what?
I don't know why, but I guess if you donate your body to medicine,
Right.
they might grind you up and use you to put some asshole's teeth back
Hey,
in
yo.
after he crashes his bike.
you
because
should
I would-
take
I
it off
told
and get
my-
a DNA
I
test.
told my orthodontist, there's like little pieces, like little grit coming out. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's because we use actual human remains.
Oh!
I know. It's insane, isn't it?
And they don't
Hey, yo,
tell
what
people
the
before they
fuck?
do it.
Do
It's
they
like, hey, we're about to put somebody else's
Is that like
teeth
some
in.
Chucky, is that like some Chucky shit where it just transfers to you? Now you're the evil
They
one?
should have told me ahead of time in case I was like Orthodox Jew or something. I didn't care.
He's
but I
already
didn't
balls
find
deep
out.
in there. He's already getting
I
ignored.
didn't find out until it was already like coming apart in my mouth.
Just to let you know, the teeth we gave you had cavities on. You know, just
That
watch
is
out.
crazy. I didn't know they did that. That's fucking.
Now, not the teeth. The teeth are synthetic, I
Right,
think.
right.
But when they put it in, it has to go in there with some kind of biomatter, and it's
Right.
deceased people.
Dude, that is. So there's a few dead people in your mouth.
Yep. And then
Just kidding.
on a good night,
On a good night.
That's crazy. That's
Wow.
absolutely nuts.
That's intense, dude.
So Buzz, after like how long did you feel like the radio show was like really picking up here in El Paso? You guys start gaining traction. How long did you feel for that to take place?
Oh, pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly?
Yeah, Patty and I had a real good chemistry, and Johnny really fit in there, and we were young, and we had a lot of energy.
You guys are all over the place.
And we honestly, we really weren't afraid of anything at that time. I figured, I didn't think this is my job. I don't know what I'm going to do if I lose. I figured I could get fired at any time. So I was,
Yeah,
I was
fuck it,
doing
balls
just
out, yeah.
completely. I didn't have a lot to lose, so I was just doing it balls to the walls.
He's like, we're going fucking all out here. Yeah, that's good. I mean, and then it's crazy because you see that like the city supports you. Obviously, 25 years in, you're still on the air currently. So you have a lot of love in the city, a lot of people that recognize you, a lot of people that, like I said, tune into you, and they're dedicated listeners. So what do you think? Do you think having that type of chemistry with your team helps build that? Like the producers that are on your show, like do you have like things that you look for in someone?
Chemistry is the key to everything.
Yeah. Right.
If you don't have chemistry, I feel like, I've seen these things before where, maybe some famous comedy team actually hated each other, but they were still able to put that as, I don't think I could do that. I think you got to like the people you're working with.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then you're in there how long? Like 8 hour, 9 hour shifts with each other?
And then trying to be fake like that?
On air is 4 hours. And then, we're together there starting at 5, getting things ready. And, we stay after the show. It doesn't, we don't just go away. And right. Joanna, I want to shout out Joanna Barba because she's there longer than anybody else, doing
Joanna,
stuff.
shout out to Joanna.
And the thing is, most of it is completely behind the scenes stuff that doesn't go appreciated even by, like, I feel like if you get above our immediate supervisor, people don't realize everything that girl does for the show because she puts in some long, hard hours.
Yeah. And that's good because that's like that's the backbone of the show. And like you guys have dedicated producers and you want a team that works hard because in the end, that's what's going to make your like the morning show the best product it could be.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is any show that you love, whether it's a TV show or a radio show or anything that you see that you love, what you don't see are the hours of thankless toil that goes into it. You see the finished product, and the finished product is supposed to cover up how hard it was to get there. So I really appreciate anything that I consume or watch or listen to that I enjoy because I know it's not just all fun.
And we could all kind of like relate to that just because, doing this pod, we've been doing it for 3 years and we're trying to stay consistent. A lot of people don't know how much it takes for something to just
be made. It must be a great job. You guys are you go in for an hour and talk to somebody.
This is all party. You guys just go and have drinks. And
I assure people that is not a complete story.
No, I have to put up with Joe first, showing up late, with Chewy fucking eating snacks during the fucking pod.
Well, you got it the other way around. I'm always on time. He's always late.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of moving parts regardless, but I think if you like something, if you if you have the passion to do like radio or podcasting, like you do realize after a while, like there is more work than just what people see. But I think that comes with the territory,
There were so many people who said, I'm going to go on this podcast. And then we talked about it a little bit on the air. And I talked to at least 3 different people today who were like, I listen to them all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you guys had such a big following until I said on my show that I was coming on here. And everybody's letting me know.
Yeah, and I think what helps is because obviously there's a community that listens to your show, right? And so when we brought in Nico was like the very first one.
He was.
And he wasn't even on the show at the time.
He wasn't yet.
He was still like
he was
coming around.
Though.
He was his assistant.
Yeah, he was coming around, but he wasn't like on the show like he is now.
Yeah.
And then we had
Brandon.
And
then we had
Steve.
Fernie.
And so I think the people that...
How was Fernie?
Dude,
we've had him on twice.
Fernie was hilarious because he was...
It's not an act.
No, it's not.
Yeah, dude, it's not.
And he has just come back from LA, right? And he has just given us this whole like story that he was homeless and all this stuff.
You got post LA Fernie.
Yeah, we got post LA Fernie. So he calls me and he asks, like, can you guys give me a ride to the studio? And I say, sure. And this was on the east side, right? So me and my buddy Blue, we go and pick him up. We show up to this house, bro, and there was like a barbecue in the front with all these cholos, and out of nowhere, it's just fucking Fernie comes out like, "Yeah, I'll see you guys later." And then we fucking gave him a ride over here, and I told people too, man. What I like
about... Did you get the
about
story behind that? It was probably his, either cousins or brothers or whatever.
Dude, there was a guy with a robe out there and like high socks and chanclas.
Yeah, that was a true cholo.
He was a true cholo. But what I liked at the fact, it sucked that he was homeless at the time, but it was good because I could just drop him off anywhere.
You just told him, get the fuck out of the studio.
Yeah. It's just at the stop sign right up the street.
Yeah, and so like the point I was trying to make is just that like we've had so many people on that are close to you or that your fan base knows that like I think that's what kind of helped us like get known amongst your listeners is that we've talked to like almost everyone that you've had on the show since we've done this podcast.
Yeah.
And which has helped because everybody's been so cool. I think my favorite interview was
Sanchez. Did you have Lisa in?
No, Lisa's
Lisa's been hard to get.
She's like the
Lisa's
only
a real
one that we
tough
haven't.
nut to crack.
And we've been told like they told us like, man, good luck trying to get Buzz in here and good luck trying to get Lisa.
Hey, we got Buzz already in the cut, so what's
But
good?
you know what's funny is that like when me and Chris started doing this pod 3 years ago, we were in his garage, right? We're trying to expand. It's just our close friends. So we're like, all right, man, who are the top people in El Paso that we would want? And we made a list of like 5 people. You know, Buzz Adams,
Johnny
Cage, Aaron Jones, Khalid.
They're like Casas,
you know,
Did
everybody.
you guys get Aaron Jones?
Not yet. Not yet.
We're
but
working
we
on
will.
that.
We're working on that one.
He's
But
next up. You're the first one on the list that we need to get.
How was Aaron Jones not in the Pro Bowl? How did Aaron
actually
Jones
didn't
not
see
get in
it.
the Pro Bowl?
I don't know. I think he might have declined that, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
How because a lot of those guys, I watched it. So it was the first flag football game for Pro Bowl.
First one.
Yeah, first time they did a flag football game, and some of those guys that were out there were like, oh, "Okay, I'm not sure I should."
Hey, those players were relieved because they're like, flag football, I'm down.
Well,
I'm not going to get hurt.
Yeah, but I bet some of them too were kind of like, this isn't the move.
Now you could tell, right, like I went in with an open mind. I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. You know, maybe they're not going to let them tackle forever. So maybe flag football at a really elite level is entertaining. It is not.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, as bad as it sounds, I think people like the NFL because of its physicality. Like, you know what I mean? And the reason
People hated the regular Pro Bowl because they weren't really,
Right.
you know.
Well,
they
I mean,
were
a few
kinda
years
bumped.
ago, you would. A few years ago, man, you
That's
had that
been a
famous,
while.
Yeah,
No,
well,
it's been
That's
years
been a
since they actually
while.
tried to win the Pro Bowl.
After a while, it became like, everybody knows, let's not hit each other.
Don't hurt anybody.
Right.
I
Yeah,
won't
don't
hurt
hurt.
you. You don't hurt me.
Yeah, because what ends up happening is if you hurt someone, what you're really hurting is their money.
Yeah.
Because now they might not get a contract from a new team because they're hurt in the offseason now.
Yeah,
And
I
there
was
were a
like-
couple of Pro Bowlers back in the day who had career
Ending.
altering,
See?
career
In the Pro
altering
Bowls, yeah.
Yeah,
injuries. In the
And I'm
Pro
sure
Bowl.
some of those guys were like, dude, fuck that.
You know what was so funny is like how Derek Carr was trying to look good for the recruiters that were
Yeah.
watching. You know,
I
now that
heard
he's
he
looking for a
lit it
team.
up. They had a skills challenge with
Yeah,
quarterback.
he
I didn't
tore it
see
up.
that part, but they said he lit.
There was
it
an
up.
interview.
He tore
with
it
him.
up. He
There
was literally like, he was in
Look,
high
they're
school.
Did you bring that up? Oh, Jesus Christ, you're good. there's sunshine in the back.
interception right here. Bam.
But look at that. He's wearing a stocking cap. Yeah. I saw another guy wearing a bucket hat.
That'd be Chris playing
That
out
would
there.
be me out there. Yeah, dude. Trevor Lawrence throwing
Lawrence-
picks. What else is new? Yeah, just kidding. Just
Fuck the Jags. We them boys all
But
day.
yeah, it's crazy.
This
It's
was
funny 'cause
dreadful.
The Derek Carr, there was a guy that interviewed Derek Carr during that game, and he
They
asked him,
asked
he's
him.
like, "Man, have you ever been this hot in LA or whatever in Vegas?" And he's all like, "No, man, that's why
They got rid of me.
That's why I'm looking for a new team."
Hey, but I think he's going to win the audition, dude.
Look at that. You know what? You notice what's missing?
the
The
field goal.
goalpost.
Yeah,
There's no goalpost.
Yep.
How could a kicker ever be a Pro Bowler in a game that doesn't have goalposts?
Yeah. What are they gonna do?
Even if they did, I'm glad the Cowboys kicker is in there because Jesus.
No, this would have been his venue.
Imagine he still misses. Jesus Christ.
Dude, that comment the governor made.
Uncalled for.
Did he really
wilding.
say something about that?
He was
Yeah,
wilding.
he said like I kick better than him
Yeah,
He was
right.
wilding.
when he's in a wheelchair.
Dude, Jerry Jones
I
is
was like, dude, stand
if
up and
you-
say it like a man.
Jerry Jones is like, if you can kick, report to the office
Yeah.
on Monday.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of like these
Dude,
Pro
after
Bowls.
what did he miss? 4 in a row?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then the next game, the one they lost to the 49ers.
Blocked.
it was blocked.
Well,
First one was blocked.
it would have missed anyway.
He still would have missed
But-
anyway. Jesus.
But at that point, if I'm Brett Maher, maybe I go to a neurologist and say, "Look, is there a tumor? What's going on?" Because you don't at that level. That's like missing a 2-foot putt for
Right.
Tiger Woods.
Hey, we should have a field goal contest with Buzz Adams. See how far he can kick.
No.
He's not saying he could do it better.
I'm
He's
not
just
saying I could do it better,
observing.
but
Yeah.
for those guys,
Professional. You're getting paid big
Yeah.
money for that.
Yeah. It was crazy. I mean, it was hard to watch too. And then you could see like Dak on the fucking sideline throwing a fit, saying that we should just go for 2 from now on. But I don't know. That was a
you know,
This
after
could have
he
been our
missed
year.
all
We could have beat
those,
the Eagles, but no, we couldn't.
I saw an interview with him. You know, if it was me, I would have just wanted to go back in the darkest hole and just crawl in there and not talk to anybody.
You think he's fired? Is he fired yet? Has he been released?
He probably got jumped, dude.
I think they're probably, you know, like a kicker is more of a priority for them in the draft than it otherwise would have been.
Yeah.
I don't know. But honestly,
because-
I would be concerned about if Phil Mickelson missed 3 2-foot putts in a row,
That would've
I
been
would
nuts.
seriously
Hey,
be
you're
considered
out.
for his health.
yeah.
He probably got drug tested, no?
This guy pulls
look
out
at-
all
hey,
the misses.
oh,
Mickelson's
God.
a beast, though.
No, but guess what? That guy didn't just go and crawl in a hole like I would have. He went out there and answered it. And,
Yeah, he
you
missed
know,
it 4 times.
yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, but you know what's
was
crazy?
he
goes
paid
beyond-
off? Was he paid off?
No, it wasn't paid off, Joe.
No, you
Is that
can't.
a
I mean, would you blame the holder at a certain
No.
point, right?
If you were paid off, you wouldn't make it that obvious.
Right.
Yeah, dude. 4 in a row, Joe.
I think the bad thing is,
But look at them. They're just going right across the poles.
And paid off for what? They won by 27 points.
yeah, exactly. There's no way, there's no way that fucking happened. But I think for Mahar, it was like this
you
guy.
think the pressure got to him?
Yes, dude. Of course,
Pressure.
obviously.
That
4 times
Eli
in a row.
Manning is
Yeah,
one
dude.
goofy
4
looking
times in a row, pressure got to him.
Yeah, and then once you already start
Yo,
doubting yourself,
I'm about to suit
you're
up.
done,
Put me in,
dude.
coach. Put me in, Jerry Jones.
Yeah. No, we're not putting you in anything,
God.
Joe.
Joe is just waiting the car.
Honestly, I hope he's okay.
Who's your favorite NFL team, Buzz?
Well, I was, born in New Orleans, so I go for the Saints.
Saints.
But,
Ooh, who them boys? Who them?
yeah, I like the Cowboys.
Hey, but Sean Payton got traded to. Well, he didn't. I don't even know what happened on that. He got
He was with
traded.
the Chargers.
He accepted another job.
Yeah, he's going to be with the Broncos.
He's gonna be with the Broncos, so they're
Yeah,
gonna
he's
be
gonna be
like,
with the
let's
Broncos.
ride
with Russell. They ain't
Wait.
riding nothing.
They
I'll tell
right.
you- I'll
No,
tell you
dude,
that
Sean
much.
Payton's a goat.
Dude, he hasn't coached in like 5 years.
It don't matter, dude.
Did you guys know they made a true story out of his life? Adam Sandler's company made this movie, and they cast Kevin James as Sean Payton.
No. Oh yeah, they did. It was the high school one, right? He goes into high school.
Yeah,
and
he gets suspended
Yeah.
for putting bounties out on people,
Yep.
which happened.
Which actually
and
happened,
then he
yeah.
decides, oh, I'm suspended, so I might as well coach. It's like Mighty Ducks.
Yeah,
That is crazy.
But
I've seen it. I've seen it.
It's good.
if I'm Sean Payton, I'm a little offended they cast Paul Blart to play me.
I would be.
Who would you want? If say that somebody's directing a biography or whatever you want, whatever type of movie, and you got to choose who's gonna play you. Who do you want?
I'd be thrilled if they got Kevin James.
So I'd be down with that.
He's like, that's fair.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah, for me, that's fair.
that is crazy.
It'd be funny to have like Donald Trump play Buzz.
So Buzz, what is one thing, or like, what's the reason that you would say that you've stayed in El Paso as long as you have, and that you didn't look for another opportunity, maybe in a bigger market in New York or LA or Atlanta? What made you keep your feet on the ground here in El Paso?
A fucking drive,
Hey, no,
probably.
not his feet in the ground. Insert his roots
What?
in the ground here.
Well, his roots are in Oklahoma, so his feet are stationary.
Yeah, Joe, what are you talking about?
I mean, think about it. I've only lived in El Paso 1 year less than you have.
Yeah, that's
Yo,
true.
that's
That's true.
And
That's
why
a
the
long
hell-
time, too.
Why the hell are you still here, Chris?
Because I'm still going to school, and there's a
yeah.
lot of reasons.
That's true.
They take care of me pretty good. I mean, to be honest,
Right.
they really do. Like I'd gotten headhunted or by people who want me to go to, and I won't name any names.
Drop those names.
But then they throw an offer out there, and I come back and I say, well, I'm already making like 30 more than that.
Yeah.
And they don't believe it because it's so I mean, again,
Right.
I don't want to be.
Right.
They take good care of me. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, I would say too if that was the case. Why
The
not?
bows.
Yeah, I mean, and then like if you really enjoy the situation, you have a good director of radio that kind of lets you do your own thing. They kind of don't step all over your feet. I think it makes it easier to turn down like bigger offers or from bigger markets, I would say.
And radio stations that provide local content are rarer and rarer every single year.
Right.
And what do you think that is?
Well, podcasting, syndication.
Right.
There when I came to El Paso, there was basically Howard was doing syndication, but he had just started. And now I bet you there's 100 different radio shows that would gladly go on in your market, and you just turn them on and they come on.
Yeah.
I know that because I did it for a while in other markets.
Right.
So that, just makes it so there are just fewer stations that are looking for original content.
So do you think like with the emergence of like podcasts, on-demand music, do you think all that has really affected the way that people consume radio nowadays?
Yeah, but in the same way that they had always said that they've been predicting, well, radio's not going to be around in 5 years since I started.
Right.
Like even when I was just getting into it, they said, all these jobs, all the DJs are going to be via satellite.
Yeah.
Satellite was the technology. You don't need a satellite anymore to do it. You just need a Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, that's really all.
So you don't worry about that, like now as time goes by and as you see technology growing.
No, I'm not worried.
Chris, let's give him something to worry about.
Well, I mean, think about it this way: if my time on the radio was over, who's to say I don't start a podcast?
Hey, dude.
That's
It's
the thing about podcasting is you could always do it. You know what I mean? There's going to be nothing that holds you back from doing another show, even if the show that you had on the radio, if it gets like if they say, hey, we're moving on, at least you could still do a podcast and take your community with you.
Or he could just start an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
That would work.
Buzz Adams OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you see some.
I tried a couple of times, but there were just a few things I wasn't willing to do.
It's like, show your teeth.
Take them out.
Take them out.
And speaking of podcasts, you actually have your own podcast already, the AfterBuzz, right?
Yeah, right. Nico runs it. He decides, it's kind of his thing, and I'm just there. And I don't know what he wants to talk about.
He just throws shit at you.
Yeah.
He's like, here.
But you've had a lot of notable people on your radio station. Who do you like that you say is on your top list most memorable time?
Well, I mean, some of them went on to be president. So we had George W. Bush.
It's crazy.
We had Trump. Many times we had Trump before he was president.
No way, really?
Yeah, he was always
on that show,
promoting.
right?
He always had a book or a show or
Did he have a writer on
real
that?
estate scam or something.
So wait, would I guess his people would hit you guys up and say, hey, do you guys want like a few minutes with this guy? Here's what he's promoting.
You know what? He was more just making the rounds.
Okay, so he was.
Hey, Mr. Trump has a new book out. He'd like
Right.
to come on your show, or vice versa. We'd contact
right.
or
Dude,
whatever.
he's had like presidents or the people that became presidents and like porn stars.
Yeah.
Like, that's like like the big difference between that.
Yeah, you could either be a porn star or president. Either way.
Yeah. You're welcome to the Buzz Adams.
But
Morning
I
Show.
also feel like your show is like anybody coming into El Paso, whether they're like a comedian, any notable figure. I mean, your show's like kind of the place for them to go talk about what they're doing. And it's really good that you guys have like your open door policy kind of in a way to like letting all these people come on.
Sure. We have. What we do is, I don't want to say we catch them on the way down, but people, who are very like household names, and they come in and they're doing a gig at the comic strip, for instance. Well, we have pretty good access to people who are doing that. So I've had a lot of great comics that I still think are great comics and still think are like some of the funniest people of all time. And we're able to not only get them to come in, but, maybe we'll go out and have lunch with them or something, and that's always really cool.
And so how long, Buzz, do you see yourself continuing to do radio for?
10 years sounds like pretty good.
Another 10 years. Wow.
And then right off into the sunset, back to your ranch?
On that bike.
Now I think I'm going to go live by a lake.
Hey.
I've never lived by a lake, but that seems really cool. Just to sit out and look over. There's a lake right out my backyard. Doesn't that seem awesome?
Is there a certain part of like the country that like you would want to do that at? Like maybe in the Northwest or like somewhere in the South?
Like if you did it at Lake Tahoe, you got to spend $5 million to get a one-room cabin. So I would probably go more for like Lake of the Ozarks.
Hey, but Lake Tahoe's fun. If you go with friends.
Yeah, Tahoe's fun if you don't have to pay a mortgage there.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You're just visiting for the weekend.
You're just visiting for the weekend, if that.
funny.
But yeah, so I mean that seems like a good way to go out is just somewhere, nice nice house, nice cabin somewhere with a, you know, lake in the back. Like, I mean, it
Yeah.
could
When
be worse.
I could do that now and do the show from my cabin
remotely.
overlooking.
That's when you start your
If I were
podcast.
motivated to do that,
Yeah.
now I could do that on the radio. They could hook that up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, for sure they can.
And
Yeah.
it would sound like exactly
Like
like,
if
I
you're
was
there,
there.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of, I want to know, what's a day off for Buzz look like? You got no plans? What's Buzz doing on his days off?
Oh, I stay up, catch up on whatever shows I'm watching, maybe get a jigsaw puzzle out. End up staying up.
A puzzle.
Yeah, like a jigsaw puzzle.
Jesus.
Yeah, I remember when
They still make them?
Yeah, I remember I would
They
go
make a lot
over.
of them. They made it. They had a real renaissance during the pandemic.
I bet.
He was like, take my money.
Buzz just stacked up.
I remember Nico would have me over and like I would see like
the puzzle out on the table,
on the big table.
Yeah,
and, like
so I get a hot 1,000-piece puzzle going on and stay up till midnight.
Midnight, don't lie.
Yeah,
Midnight?
Yeah, on a
You even had an alarm?
well, then I'd go to bed and
sleep it
just
off.
sleep it off.
Just his natural
Sleep
body
to-
alarm. Just
Yeah.
like, time to bed.
I remember seeing these huge puzzles and I'm just like, dude, that looks so hard to do. But I mean, if that's something that you're into, that's a good way to pass time.
They're
for sure.
they're relaxing. I think they're relaxing and they're addictive, and it's no different than crushing candy on your phone
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Pointless, repetitive. It's the same thing as that. I think.
It's called Instagram.
It's funny. It's just remembering that was the first time where we actually met all those comedians was at Buzz's house.
Yeah, Nico
Good day.
invited us to like a cookout there. We met Bonchi for the first time, Iggy.
Hey, Buzz Adams wasn't even home. He's like, who the fuck
I was
was at my
there.
house?
Yeah, he was.
there.
He came. He said hi, and he's like, here's some muffins, guys. Be careful. I'll see you guys later.
I think even Anthony Austin Brown was there. Otis was there, maybe Puga. We met a bunch of guys through that little circle of people, and a lot of them ended up being on the podcast. So that was great.
Yeah, it used to be. I mean, to some extent, it still is, but it really used to be kind of like a comedian hangout.
Well, I know Chris asked you what made you stay here, but what do you like from El Paso?
The climate, for one thing. I like.
warm.
Joe's waiting for Buzz to say, "Oh, the beer and the bitches." He's waiting for
like,
something like that.
When I came down here to interview, I was 24, and it definitely
Was.
like I noticed
What's
some
the
of the.
beer and the bitches? He's like, don't say this. What
They
is
took
that?
me out to a couple places to
Yeah.
eat, and I just noticed. I thought the waitresses and any women that I saw, I thought were super
he's
super
like-
attractive, and that was definitely part of the decision. But,
He's like,
30
what are
years
those?
ago.
They're like, sir,
They ever-
those are Latinas. He's like, hey, yo.
Somebody ever take you to Juarez? You ever been to Juarez? Been out there?
Yeah, like to the Mercado.
Yeah.
That was a place that, back in the early
Back in the day,
90s, you didn't
yeah.
have a care in the world. You just
Yeah.
went over to the Mercado for the day. Sure.
There weren't gunshots; those were fireworks back then.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and I think that's part of the appeal of El Paso. So many people probably, they move here for work or, the military, whatever reason. And then they realize, yeah, it's a nice place to live. It's affordable, great
Find a
food.
good Latina.
They find a nice woman to settle down with, have 20 kids, and then they're stuck here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's
Hey, yo.
how it goes.
It's like quicksand.
All right, guys, we're at an hour and 9 minutes here. What we're going to do now is we have 5 random questions for Buzz.
Yeah.
And that's how we'll wrap up this podcast here. But before we do that, does anybody know what time it is?
You have the time,
Is
Buzz?
it already?
I wear a watch, but it doesn't really work.
It's a Rolex.
He would have known. I would have told him that it's time for the 5 random questions here at Conversing with Chris and Me, the podcast hosted by your boy Chris Marcus.
All right, guys, before we start these 5 random questions, I just want to give one more final shout out to Nico, Joanna, everybody from the KLAQ morning show team. Thank you all for helping us get Buzz in here. We really do appreciate that. Give them a round of applause. And one more time, Buzz, thank you for being
Thank
here as
you.
well. We really
Thank you,
do
guys.
appreciate it. We're having a great time. Thank you for taking time out of your day.
Hey, and
to be
Megan,
here.
you're next, all right, Megan? You've been ghosting me, girl, but you're coming in next.
All right, let's get some music here. Question number 1. Mr. Buzz, who from your morning show would survive the longest during a zombie apocalypse?
I would.
You would?
Yeah, there's no doubt.
He didn't even second guess the dude. He's just like right away at me. How would Nico do? Just out of curiosity.
Nico would do okay for a day or two, then he'd just lose his motivation and just be like, but I want to be a zombie.
He's like, just bite me. He's like, just bite me.
let's get it over with.
He's like, eat me.
Joanna would be too busy with her cats.
Yeah, dude. That's funny. All right, question number 2. What is going on? Just watching some random clip. If you could only eat one fruit for the rest of your life, Buzz, which one would it be and why?
I'd prefer to eat no fruit.
No fruit? Not even like an apple?
I don't know. An apple once a month, I guess.
Apple a day, apple a month. Take the doctor away. You heard?
I don't think that's how that goes at all.
You heard?
You heard.
Buzz Adams.
One
That's
apple
what
a
I
day
think.
keeps the doctor away.
I think fruits are way overrated.
Really?
Hey, yo, what the?
You don't like a good fruit salad?
He don't like you, Joe. You fruit.
I love fruit. I love pineapple. Apples are really good. Oranges are solid. Peaches
Mangoes,
are good.
dude.
Mangoes are really good. That's weird. You don't like fruit at all. That's crazy. Do you like vegetables?
Not that much.
Okay. If you don't like fruit, you definitely don't like vegetables.
You know what I like? Steak. That's what I
Hey.
like. Whereas some people would be go, I'm going to go get me a nice Honeycrisp apple. I'd be like, well, I cook some ribeyes, put them in the fridge.
How do you ask for steak?
Rare.
Oh, hey,
damn.
do you want me to just get you a cow? It says blue.
Fucking Chris eats them burnt.
Dude,
Oh,
I don't
Well
even-
done, burnt.
Yeah.
No flavor. No
wait.
nothing.
How do
Chewy.
you eat your steak?
Medium rare.
Medium rare. That's the way to go.
Well, no, apparently rare is the way to go.
I think they adapted to be on the safe side. You used to be able to say medium rare and you get them pretty bloody.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
I think
yeah.
they were like, well, we need to make medium rare a little more well done. But then I adapted to their adaptation and I just order it rare.
Hey,
So I want that blood, baby.
hey, but that
10
juice
seconds
isn't-
on each side.
That juice isn't blood though.
What is it?
It's just the fat release. It just mixes in.
You're not kidding. I get the grill. But here's what I do. I get the grill going super
You
hot.
pick out the cow.
Super hot. And then I just put it, maybe 30 seconds on one
then
side, maybe 30 on the other.
Okay, that's
Bro,
bad.
I told you. My dad does the same thing, dude.
That's bad. You need to put
No,
at
it's
least
not.
like a minute and a half.
I'm sure
2 minutes.
I'm sure it's okay. I mean, I told Misa that's why I get I'm over steak because my dad is a butcher.
That's why Misa orders chicken strips everywhere
and
he goes.
he makes it like that, Buzz. He just throws it on the fucking the hot grill for a little bit.
I tell you,
flips
it's
it
not on
over.
there long.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
crazy.
yo.
All right, question number 3. The best Mexican food in El Paso can be found where, Mr. Buzz?
Yo mama's house.
That's where I'm going after this.
Hey, tell her to set up,
Set up
2,
a-
4, 5 plates.
Let's get
go.
5 settings going. How about that? All right. Question number 4, Misa. Let's get a little bit more music. Mr. Buzz, who is your favorite actor or actress of all time?
Harrison Ford, I was right. That was my sweet spot. He was Han Solo, and then he was Indiana Jones.
Wait, isn't
and
he
then
coming out
was-
with another Indiana Jones now?
Fingers crossed.
He's in a show. What is it? 1938 or it's a Yellowstone show.
It's Yellowstone, but like 1923 or something.
1923.
Right.
That's what my dad
It's
watches.
the prequel, right,
My
to
dad
Yellowstone?
watches it. Fire.
Okay, Harrison Ford, shout out. And shout out to Yellowstone. My wife likes that show. I've never seen it, but it seems cool. All right, question number 5.
I thought that guy died a long time ago, dude.
Yeah, dude, these guys are still making these movies, huh?
No, look, they're showing previews of the new. Look how great he looks. He still looks, like Indiana Jones kind
He's
of.
like, I'll take 5 of those.
And how old is he?
God, he's got to be like 117.
Oh, fuck,
At least.
imagine. He's got to be what, like
I got
60s, 70s?
No, he's probably closer to 80.
Fucking Christ. And he's still making all these movies,
Yeah.
huh?
I mean, it's like action movies too, bro.
He's actually 80 years old.
Holy shit.
Oh, Sala's back.
Ese güey está acabado.
The guy who played Gimli is back as Sala.
Jesus, Gimli.
Yeah.
Jesus. All right, question number 5. Last one here, guys. Mr. Buzz, this one's a deep one right here.
All right.
Does money buy happiness?
Money can buy things that can make you happy.
There you go. It
But
makes it easier,
It
right?
doesn't buy permanent happiness, but it can make misery more enjoyable.
Wow. I'm gonna use that in a fucking tattoo.
Hey, you don't see anybody crying in a Ferrari.
Yeah, that's true, right? Okay. All right, guys. Those were our 5 random questions with Mr. Buzz Adams. Give him another round of applause. We really do appreciate you being here today, Mr. Buzz. Now what we're going to do, guys, to wrap up the podcast, we're going to go around the studio, give our final thoughts today. Joe, final thoughts?
Mr. Buzz Adams, my dad's listened to you when he was a youngling. I listened to you.
My dad.
Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're rocking it. Thank you for never leaving El Paso.
Thank you for never leaving up. Thanks. Thanks for that. Okay, B, some final thoughts today.
Yeah, Buzz, thanks again, man. Thanks for giving us your time. Like we told you since day one that we started this, we made it a point to get you on our pod. We finally done it, episode 170. Thank you, Buzz. Everybody listening, thank you guys. You guys make sure to subscribe, follow. You guys make sure to stay safe and stay fresh.
Mr. Buzz, final thoughts today.
I'm still noticing a lot of Christmas lights that haven't been taken down.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's just a brilliant idea, but nobody's ever done it. They need to make it so you can change the color of the lights and leave them up all year.
Right.
So if they could just turn from Christmas colors to just red and pink, you're set for Valentine's Day. Turn them green. St. Patrick's Day is coming up.
Joe, write this shit down, Joe.
And whoever does this owes me, I'm going to say 25%.
Yeah,
of all the profit.
all right.
Yeah,
Joe,
that
let's
is a
get that
good
shit
idea.
going.
It's just these
Write that
multicolored
shit down,
lights.
Joe.
And when it comes time for Halloween, they go back to orange. You know what I mean? That's what's up.
Red, white, and blue at 4th of July.
Independence Day. Yes, sir. Yeah. Write that down, Joe, please.
Red, white, and blue, right?
Red, white, and blue. All right, guys, final thoughts today. Mr. Buzz, thank you once again for being in the studio with us. We really do appreciate it. Like Misa said, it's been a goal of us to have you on the show and to actually be here with you. It's an honor to be here.
I had a really, really good time.
And thank you for even, taking time out of your day to be here. We really do appreciate it. And shout out to our sponsors, guys. Shout out to our boy Chewy at Next Gen Sports. He makes our fucking merch. He also does his candies. They're called Dulces. Follow him on Instagram. Shout out to our boy Omar at Sun City Vibes. He makes our intro video. And shout out to our guy Aaron at I&I Glass. But yeah, Mr. Buzz, thank you. Guys, Joe, good job today. Chewy, thank you for being here. Misa, overall, once again, great episode. Episode 170, guys. Conversing with Chris and Misa, the podcast. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel. With all that being said, we are...
Buzz.
Out!
Let's watch some Star Wars or what?
Told my nigga roll a blunt, I don't know where the road at. My license expired, but the police don't know that. Middle fingers up, cause we got the whole world, man. Never gave a fuck, cause they said that we won't last. Tryna live life like a rock star, baby. Tryna drift off in a sports car, maybe. If I do the dash, hope I don't crash, baby. Yeah, I make the money, but the money don't make me.